Laurie, thanks so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. Tell me about your business. Tell me where you guys are located. Give me your website address, social media stuff, all that good stuff.
All right. So my name is Laurie Hartwell. I'm the CEO of the Bridal Society, and we are the nation's leading wedding planning certification program, as well as the world's largest group of certified wedding planners and certified wedding venue professionals. Our website is thebridalsociety.com, and you can find us on Instagram at the Bridal Society Official. Same with Facebook as well.
Got it. Got it. So tell me about the Bridal Society. What was the passion and desire to get into this?
Yeah, well, lots of passion there. I love, first of all, helping wedding planners in any way, shape, or form. I started planning weddings back in 1993 and have been going nonstop ever since then. And about 15 years ago, I decided, since I had so many wedding planners asking if I could possibly mentor them and help them through their business, I decided that, there were so many, I could maybe try to find a way to help people on a bigger level,
Yeah.
more national scale. And so I got with some of the top industry professionals, and I started developing the curriculum for this. And of course, it has really expanded. It has grown over the years, exponentially. It's absolutely robust and amazing. And ever since then, we have been offering lifetime membership. So anytime someone pays to be, to become a certified wedding planner, we actually include membership for the rest of their lives. They never have to pay another dime after that. And it includes so many amazing things. And it's so amazing, Shane, because we kind of become a family. We've got over 5,000 members, almost 6,000 now. And we all really care a lot about each other, and we support each other. When I have wedding planners who have a really huge crisis in their lives and they are unable to fulfill a commitment. And it's rare, very rare that would ever happen. You would be surprised at how many wedding planners, just because we're a family of, like-minded people, say, listen, I will step in for you. You don't have to pay me anything. Let me just help you out. It's shocking. And, we have a private forum where all these thousands of planners talk on a regular basis.
Nice.
And they bring tears to my eyes almost every single day because of how supportive and amazing they are. So I just feel like I'm the luckiest person in the entire world to be able to mentor and be there and support so many amazing wedding planners.
Yeah, and to create this community, right, of people that are passionate about their work and able to support each other, and just I can imagine how that feels.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I love it.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the curriculum and what you offer course-wise.
Right, so we have a certified wedding planner program. We also offer a wedding fundamentals, wedding design fundamentals certification, and we just launched the master's course. So anybody who's gone through our regular certification course, if they would like to raise the bar and really just dive deeper and, elevate their business even more, we have a master certification program available as well. I've also teamed up with Timeline Genius, and we put together a really amazing certification for Timeline Genius people. So, if you really want to just master timelines, Eddie Babbage, who is the CEO of Timeline Genius, he and I got together and created something pretty magical too. So we offer a lot of really great courses. And on top of that, what's really cool is part of the membership that people get with the Bridal Societies we offer, and people pick on me all the time because I do too many things for free, but we offer free workshops to all of our members. Every month, there's another workshop that they can take online. Nothing is in person anymore, obviously. It's just, we are really all about making sure that we are educating as many people as possible and helping and, support everybody throughout their careers.
Yeah. So what's involved in like a wedding planner certification class? Like, what do I have to go through?
Well, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So there, we have kind of made sure that everything in this course is segmented and it's in order of the way that if someone was just entering the industry, it would make complete sense to them. It kind of evolves over time.
Sure.
However, even people who have had over 20 years, 30 years of experience planning weddings have gone through our certification course and said that it was just, mind-blowing. So, and when I like to think about things kind of in a different way. I don't like teaching the same thing that anybody else would teach because, number one, that's boring.
Yeah.
And number two, I like to think completely outside of the box. Think of ways that we can, have great relationships and how you can build your business based on not necessarily, just paying for ads everywhere, but how are you going to build that relationship with other people in your community so that it can actually grow organically, and then you can put more money back into the business and maybe in your pockets and be able to actually pay yourself. So it's really important to make sure that at least it was important to me to make sure that I made things really easy to understand and give them really practical and usable skills and ideas that's just going to boost their business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, that's a good point. So like a lot of time, I mean, why should I even get certified? For example, like, I mean, the barrier to entry for planning is like so low, right? I mean, anyone can really just become a planner today, right? I just go get a business license and say, hey, I'm a planner, and start marketing.
Yes,
But yeah, right. So, but I mean, let's say I had worked for someone, I was mentored by someone, and I went through that, and I want to start my own business. What level of what level does a certification kind of give me? Not only maybe skills wise, right, like learning stuff I might not have known about, but I don't know, just how does it elevate me as a business to be able to say, hey, I'm a certified planner from this institution, et cetera?
Absolutely. So this is such a good question. Yeah, anybody can become or say that they're a wedding planner, but they're never really a real wedding planner. If they just read a magazine and woke up one day and said, I think I know what I want to do with my life. No, that is not how this is supposed to work. Shane, what's really sad is that most people have no idea how difficult this job actually is. It's rated number 5 of the most stressful jobs in America. So what's ahead of us? We've got pilots, military, police officers, firefighters, and then boom, number 5, wedding planners. It's just hilarious, and I feel it. I can honestly say to you.
Oh, it's a lot of work. I know. I've talked to many of them, and I know it's a lot of work.
It's insane. And so, yeah, I warn people about, gosh, don't just go into and call yourself a wedding planner. You need to be educated. The reason why you need to be educated outside of just having the knowledge and being able to really be able to say, I know exactly what I'm doing. It gives you credibility when you're certified. It actually shows the clients that you took your career seriously enough to get educated and have a higher level of education and not just rely on, I think I'm doing it right, or rely on wedding magazines. And honestly, some of the magazines, articles, and things that I have read scare me a little bit because I'm reading a lot of things that are incorrect.
Yeah.
And it's not based on real life. So who's writing these articles? This is what I'd like to know. Who's writing these articles? Can't be wedding planners. Because if anybody with the real world experience couldn't possibly have said any of those things. So I really always warn people against, don't believe everything that you read. You need to make sure that you go to reliable sources, like the Wedding Report, like the Bridal Society, like the Knot, things of that nature. It's really important to make sure that you are getting information from the correct places. But you know what? Certification in most cases is simply just a piece of paper. And that's not what I wanted. See, back, 30 years ago when I started in the wedding industry, I was looking for a certification and that higher level of education, but there wasn't really anything out there. There was another association, but there was like a ladder that you had to climb and you had to pay every single year. And it was, and I just didn't feel like there was a community. So I said to myself, I'm going to have to create it. If I want it and it's not there, I'm going to have to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so I worked really, really hard to make sure that certification wasn't just that piece of paper, that it's about the community. It's about having some amazing benefits. it's just so much more than that here at the Bridal Society. But even if someone doesn't go with TBS to get their certification, I still recommend that they get some sort of higher level of education, but please make sure that a real wedding planner is actually teaching it.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big deal, because a lot of times it's just, a workbook, and I don't really learn well from workbooks. And that's why all of our curriculum is a combination of workbook, it's videos, it's me sitting directly in front of them, talking to them and making sure that we have that connection. And so it's me alongside with my co-instructor, Chrissy Thomas. And we just really try to find ways to make sure that they know that they're not alone, and we answer every single one of their questions.
Yeah, gotcha. So I get I get what you're saying, like with the education part. So when you were looking for something, you were just looking to enhance your education, kind of learn more about what it is that you need to do, whether it was certification or not. Like, because there's no licensing. It's not like a professional industry license thing. Like if you become a doctor or a lawyer, right? You have to go take a big test. And you get licensed, and there's a bunch of other stuff you have to do year after year.
Right.
In this business, there isn't that case, right? So it's either you mentoring from someone, right, or you're trying to find some education. Like I always like to learn new things, and I always like look for stuff. Like if I have an idea of something I want to do, I'm looking for things that I can learn. Right? How do I find something that will help me get to that next level of learning and experience?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, if someone's thinking about becoming a wedding planner, I saw on your site that you have a take this quiz to find out if you want to be a wedding planner.
Yeah.
So how do you know if you really want to be a wedding planner or not, right? Like what is the criteria here?
Well, I think a lot of people, just from watching shows or television, they think, oh, I want to be a wedding planner. But I want people to think a little bit deeper. I want them to really ask themselves, when I am a wedding planner, what do I want out of my career? When I join an organization, what do I want out of that? Do I want to lift other people up in the community, or do I want to be a little catty and talk behind their backs like we're in fifth grade? So part of that quiz is asking people, are you interested in, joining an organization that really wants to make sure that you are elevating yourself? Do you want to help other wedding planners? Do you want to make sure that you are being an asset to others rather than, kind of just not being productive? Because see, anybody can become a wedding planner, like you said. There's no
There's no licensing. Yeah.
Right. And so with TBS, I actually make sure that, because not every wedding planner is for me, Shane. Not everybody's meant to be a TBS member. You have to have really high standards. You have to just really care about people in general. You have to care about community. You have to have a certain level of morality in order for us to want you to join our group. And I know that sounds strange because most businesses are like, listen, we'll just take whatever we can get. That's just not ever the foundation that the Bridal Society was built on. Because, I've experienced what it's like without the Bridal Society before I created it. It was kind of a very lonely place for wedding planners and even a lonely place for wedding professionals in general, because there was no real great place where we can go and be supported by others. I mean, we all have bad days, right? We've all, the wedding industry is a terribly difficult industry to keep your, positive energy up all the time.
Yeah, I know.
So, it can be difficult, right? And so, where's the community? Where is that group where people are going to be like, yeah, no, listen, I've been there, and here's how I was able to handle this, and here's some ideas. And that's what the Bridal Society is all about, is sharing information and supporting one another. So, if you're not the kind of wedding planner that wants to do that, and if you're the kind of wedding planner who kind of lies and cheats and steals to try to get to the top, we're just not the company for you, because you're going to find that I teach everything against that. So I'm only looking for people with ethics and morals and integrity.
Yeah, no, that's good. And as you should, there's always bad apples in every industry, regardless, but yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit. Well, let me ask you this. Are there any other questions that someone who's thinking about becoming a wedding planner, they should be asking themselves? Should they be thinking about, because it is a big commitment and it's a lot of work, like we talked about earlier. I mean, I don't think wedding planners actually get paid enough for some of the work that they do. And I mean, think about it. You're responsible for the most important day of two people's lives and their family, right? So it's like, it's a stressful job. So what other questions should people be asking themselves or thinking about if they're thinking about becoming a wedding planner?
Well, I think the first question is, do I work well with a team? Because I mean, that's what we do as planners, is we are actually helping our clients bring together that dream team. If I don't work well with other people, maybe I'm not a very nice person, maybe I'm super impatient, maybe I'm very brash, then maybe this is not, if you don't like people in general, okay? If you don't like people, this isn't the job. This isn't good for you. You ask yourself, do I have the patience to do this? Because it is obviously one of the most challenging career choices. You need to have a lot of patience. You need to have, you need to be able to sense what people are saying and why they're saying it. You need to be able to hear questions that your clients have without them even having to ask. You really almost have to be clairvoyant in a little bit of a way, but you also have to be able to understand the other side of the coin. We're not here just to protect couples. Wedding planners, certified wedding planners, are also making sure that they protect their wedding professionals, the people that they send business to time and time again. So, if you can't see two sides of a coin, maybe this isn't the right job for you either. We have to make sure that we're thinking of everybody. And it's also important that you have a little bit of a backbone, because this is a very difficult job. Yeah. There are many times where I've had to say no. Unfortunately, I can't do that. As your wedding planner, that's not something that I'm willing to do, because it's going to make me look bad, or it's going to make my vendors look bad, or my venue look bad. I'm going to have to step down as your planner if this is the way you continue to go. I've had to have those hard conversations, but you need to know how to have those hard conversations.
Because they're going to happen.
Almost all the time, right?
Yeah,
and so, but there's ways that you need to ask those questions and not just be like, well, listen, I'm just not going to do your wedding. What are you, ridiculous? You can't talk like that. There's ways to kind of go about things. So if you're not patient, if you don't like humans, if you can't see multiple sides, let me tell you, wedding planners have to see every single person's perspective. So we need to see this wedding through the perspective of our clients, through their guests, through the wedding professionals that have been hired, through the venue. We have to see it through our perspective as well. And we then have a responsibility to make sure that we're meeting everybody's needs. And that's not an easy task. And so if you have trouble seeing other people's perspectives, you only can see your own, that means that maybe planning weddings is not really right for you either, because you have to be a perfect balance between everything. You almost have to be a chameleon, but the most honest, most authentic person at the same time. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I think it's tough, and it's not for everybody. Not everyone can be a planner.
Yeah, and you have to be willing to work weekends and long hours.
You have to be willing to miss your family's weddings. You have to, sometimes we miss funerals. When you go into a contract with someone, you have now a responsibility to your word. And there are so many people, Shane, that are like, oh, I've got a sniffle, I can't make it to the wedding. Nah, that's not gonna play out here. Yeah. So, in order to be an ultimate professional, to be a certified wedding planner, that just means that you have to bring your A game all the time. You have to raise your standards and just be an ultimate professional, at every single current, even how you talk on social media. I mean, every little thing that you do, it's seen. When I go out to dinner, back when I was allowed to go out to dinner before COVID, I would always think to myself, this person might, have been having a bad day. So I have to think about how I'm coming across. And I remember I was in Rhode Island having dinner with my husband, and we were at, I believe it was the Melting Pot. And the waitress, took our order. When she came back, she goes, "Are you Laurie Hartwell?" And I'm like, yeah, shoot. And I'm thinking to myself, did I know her? Do I know her? And I forgot. And she said, no, I saw you on your website. I'm going to be taking your course next year. And I'm like, oh my God. Good thing I wasn't being a poo-poo face, right? Like,
That's
good
right.
thing I'm a nice person. And so that's, to me, it has to be everywhere. You have to be good all the time, not just when you're in a meeting,
Yeah.
and not when you're at a networking event. It's
Yeah.
all the
Well, we should be like that anyway, regardless of whether we're being professional or not. But yes, agreed. Even so, more if you're a public figure or you're doing stuff, in your local community where you're out there, right? Because you're going to see a lot of people. As a planner, you're going to see and meet a lot of people, right? Average wedding guest is 125. So, you got 125 people of guests on average, and you got like 10 people, 15, 20 people in the family and the party. And so, yeah, you do a few of those, you get known.
And I agree. And I always tell my certified planners too, I always say, every single wedding that you do, every single person at that wedding, every single person in that wedding party, that is a potential future client for you. And so you need to make sure that you are always bringing it. Bring that A game 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yep, agreed. Let's switch gears a little bit, talk about business. As a business owner, what would you say has been working well for you over the past couple of years?
I feel like, the truth is I don't really advertise everything that every single person that has ever taken our course has heard about us through someone else. Whether it's their university or college, because we are partners with a lot of colleges and universities, or all of the wedding planners. This is the part that amazes me, Shane, is that all of our wedding planners love our organization so much that they tell their competition about us. And that honestly just completely kills me. I'm like, are you serious? That's amazing. And it's the biggest honor of my life. And so that just tells me that we must be doing something right. But honestly, I run my business with the utmost of integrity. I'm very honest. I'm incredibly transparent. But I also never act differently, meaning the way I am with my close friends is the same way I am with you, same way I am with my members, because who has time to be multiple people?
That's
I don't
right.
have time.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with you.
yeah, but people feel that, right? I think people see that, they feel that, and that I feel is what's been working, is that this is a very honest group of people, and all of my staff, they're amazing and they're wonderful and they share my same values. I'm big on values and making sure that we don't bring anyone on our team that doesn't share those same values, because that would confuse our consumer. If someone's out there acting like a fool and then I'm over here saying we should never act like a fool, that doesn't make sense. So we've just conducted our business that way ever since, we began. And I feel like that's been our biggest driving point, is that people just know genuinely who we are.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Outside of COVID, what would you say has kind of been your biggest challenges over the past couple of years?
This is going to be part of that transparency, Shane. I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm only one person, and keeping up with almost 6,000 members and keeping everybody happy, it's a challenge. There's just no getting around it. Yeah. And it is my sole purpose in life. I get up in the morning thinking, how can I do things better today? How can I bring people together today? How can I support and answer more questions to my members today? Now, we live in a very interesting world right now. Whether it's outside of COVID, inside of COVID, we have always had some sort of diversity in our country. And my job as the leader of this organization is to make sure that I bridge the gaps between every single person who's different, all the beautiful differences. We have every single religion a part of our group. We have every single color. We have every single race, every sexual orientation. They are all part of our group. And it is my job, and it's difficult. I don't want to lie to you. I'm just being very real and speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
It's tough to make sure that I find a way to word things and to explain things to where every single side of a situation or perspective can be seen. And then without them even knowing, they just realize that they saw someone else's perspective. And so my job is to bring everyone together. And I feel like that's probably why we are so family oriented with TBS. All of my members, they know that I love them dearly. I try to get to know every single one of them. It's tough. So there's another challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, there's plenty of challenges to go around for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And the last question I like to ask is, like, if you had to go back and tell yourself something 5 years ago, what would you go back and tell yourself?
Okay, so if I was myself 5 years ago, I would say, give yourself more grace. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Learning the whole under promise and over deliver, rather than doing the opposite. I think it's really important to give ourselves a little bit of slack and some grace, realize that we're probably never going to do it perfect the first time, right? And to make sure that we're always learning from our mistakes rather than repeating them over and over again. So I think that's what I would tell myself.
Nice. I learned something from someone recently, because I had hired a coach to help me, personally. And we were talking about failure and making mistakes. And the thing she said to me was, you have to stop thinking about failure and mistakes as failure and mistakes, but you need to start thinking about them as feedback.
And learning opportunities.
Yeah, well, I always like to take failure and mistakes, learn from them, try to figure out how I can do better. Like in software development, when you create a bug or something, because I'm a software developer, but when you create a bug or something happens where the system doesn't function appropriately, you try to learn from what happened and you try to prevent that from happening again, right? But I never looked at failure as feedback. I just looked at it as failure and I made a mistake, right?
Right.
But looking at it differently and as feedback, I think it takes on a different tone, right? With you individually, you go, oh, that's feedback. How do I incorporate that feedback into myself, making myself better? Obviously, you have to be constantly trying to make yourself better. But
yes.
You take the feedback because you have to make mistakes. You have to fail in order to get to the next level. There's no way around.
Unless you're a robot. If you're a robot, no mistakes. You're good.
Yeah, well, whoever programmed you probably programmed in a mistake, but nevertheless, right?
Yeah.
It's inevitable. I think the key is how quickly can you make the mistakes and get through them and learn from them.
Absolutely. And then we have to figure out, you talked about that kind of fear of failure situation.
Yeah.
A lot of people even have a fear of success and they don't even realize it. And it's usually because it's the unknown. We're not sure what that looks like yet. Maybe we haven't experienced what that idea, that thought is.
That's
and we need
true.
to not be afraid of that as well, because, I always have this little joke with my TBS members and I say, dogs don't chase parked cars. And they all look at me like, okay, Laurie has officially lost her mind. This is it. We need to call someone. But what I mean is, if you're not moving forward, because sometimes we are afraid of that, if you're not moving forward, no one's going to notice you. We have to start moving forward and not be afraid of the dogs who are going to chase us, not be afraid of any of those failures. And like you said, it is feedback. And we can learn from that and see that and go, oh, let me just make this quick little change. I remember some advice that my father gave me when I was a young buck. I was, we're going back a long time, about 30 years. So, but when I first started planning weddings, I asked my father if I was too young, because I was right out of the gate. I was 18 years old. And I said, am I too young? And he goes, kid, you're 18 going on 80. You need to not be so afraid. He said, think of it as, the pool in the backyard. If you said, Dad, I'm scared of going in the pool, what should I do? He said, if I told you just to dip your feet and that should give you a good understanding of what you should be afraid of, he goes, I would be doing you a disservice. What I need to tell you is you need to get in the pool. You need to submerge yourself. You need to just figure it out. And if you hate it, get out of the pool, dry off, reassess. Mm-hmm. But you might like it. but you'll never know until you get in the pool. And so we need to not be afraid of trying things because there is that fear of failure or that fear of success. We need to just dive into anything and everything that we want to try and realize that failing is not, you can't succeed unless you fail. There's just
Yeah.
no, it's impossible. So I suggest to everybody who's listening, don't be afraid of failure. That it's a beautiful part of the journey along, the road to success. That is really what it really is.
Yeah, it's true what you just said, and I don't think I really ever thought of it like that. If we don't know what success looks like,
Hmm.
maybe we're afraid of it because we don't know what it looks like. I think we can visualize things, like, oh, I think this looks like this, and you kind of like, create the mental picture and try to, psych yourself out. But if you really don't know what it looks like, all we have to go by is what we've seen other people do, right? I mean,
Yeah, and it could be
um,
scary. That can be a really scary thought of what if I, but it always comes back to, but what if I fail? What if I
yeah, what
trip?
if I fail? Yeah.
Like, what if
I
you
would
do?
say the thing that's probably helped me the most realize that I'm on the right track is, am I uncomfortable in my
Yeah.
situation? Right?
Yeah, and if you're too comfortable, what does that mean, Shane?
Yeah, right. Well, then you're not doing anything. You're not
That's
moving
right.
forward, right? The only way you're moving forward is if you're uncomfortable, right? It's like, I mean, you have to push yourself to be, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not moving forward.
Yeah,
That's,
and if you're not uncomfortable, you're not learning anything. You've got to step outside of your comfort zone. Think about this. Most people, like, let's just talk networking, because you know how most people are like,
yep, they
hate
hate
networking.
it. Yeah.
I think a couple of reasons why. Number one, maybe you're an introvert. You're a bit shy. You're not sure what to expect. And then maybe some of my extroverts who don't mind, meeting new people. They're just, they just hate how, impersonal it can be. Everybody has their own reasons. I can tell you, I'm a big introvert. I'm incredibly shy. The only time I talk is when I'm talking about the industry. Honestly, that's the most I've ever spoken about any one subject. And so, when I had to go to networking meetings, I remember being terrified. But what helped me was trying to do some investigation on who's going to be going to that meeting, right? And that helped me kind of prepare for it. So now I know who's going to go. And then I can have a plan on who are the people that I want to meet at that networking meeting.
Mhm.
And then I had to remember that people don't bite typically, but most of the time people are not mean or aggressive, and that I have to learn to get out of my own way, get out of my comfort
Yeah.
zone, that comfort that you were talking about, and actually push myself to do things that I'm uncomfortable with, because that is the absolute only way that I'm ever going to be able to achieve the success that I desire.
Yeah. Do you find too that they're feeling the same way as you're feeling? And so it's like you're just making all this up in your head and psyching yourself out.
It's kind of funny how much we all have in common.
Yeah, I know.
We all don't want to be there, but boy, is it important to be there,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure. Laurie, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Oh, thanks so much, Shane. Have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.